Hello, welcome to Dan's IT Network. For today's video, we'll configure NAT, stands for Network Address Translation. So NAT is essential on a network, especially if we want to convert private IP addresses into a public IP addresses. An example for this network design. Let's say if this computer, if it wants to communicate to this server over here, then this is the private IP address, the 192.168.1.100, and private IP addresses are residing on a local area network. So if it wants to communicate to this server over here, then it will enter this R1, okay? And then once it go out, the private IP address or addresses will be converted into a public IP addresses, okay? And the important in using NAT, okay, is to hide the private IP addresses. And in a real world, that is actually what is happening. Okay, so we need to hide private IP addresses for security purpose. Before we configure the NAT on these networks, let's analyze it first. So from R1 to R2, they are connected to each other and they are using the network IP address of 10.10.10.0/30. It is subnetted. Okay, and if it's subnetted, the first available IP address that we can use in here is the 10.10.10.1, and it is registered on this gigabit 0/0 under R1. And then on the R2 gigabit 0/0, the 10.10.10.2 is registered. Okay, and there is a default route on this R1 and another default route on this R2 so that they can have a communication to each other with their respective networks. Okay, on this R1, there is a one computer that is connected. The IP address of this computer is 192.168.1.100, and this is a Class C IP address. And the default gateway of this PC is 192.168.1.1, and it is registered on this gigabit 0/1 under the R1. On this server, this is a Class B IP address. It's 172.16.10.5. The default gateway of this server is 172.16.0.1, and it is registered on the gigabit 0/1 under R2. If we want to configure the NAT on the R1, then what will happen is on this portion, this will become then the inside local, and then on this portion, this will be then the inside global, and then once it reach the R2, then this will be outside global, and then this will be then the outside local. Okay, and let's say if we want to configure the NAT on the R2, then it will be vice versa. So what will happen is let me remove this and let me put this inside local, and then this will be then the inside global, and then outside global, and then outside local. All right, so that is if we are working on the R2 on the NAT. And if we want to go back to the R1, then we can bring this back. All right, so inside local, and then inside global over here, and then outside global, and then outside local. You notice that there is a cloud over here. Well, I put this cloud just to represent that this is the internet, but there are no any configurations that is made on this cloud. All right, it's just, again, to represent that this is the internet, this is the house, all right, going to the internet and then to the server. Everything is working fine on the network. We can actually ping from this PC to the server. So let's try. I'll open this PC and then command prompt, and then I can type here ping 172.16.10.5, and as you can see is we are receiving a reply. Okay, even if this is a private IP address, right, is we can actually ping because the NAT is not enabled. Okay, if we will enable the NAT then on this router 1 or even the router 2, okay, then this private IP address will be hidden on a network, and same as on this IP address over here. Okay, it's the 1.100. And also the reason why we can ping from this PC to the server, it's because on this router 1 and router 2 is I set up a default route going to this router 2 and another default route going to this router. So I have not shown you the IP address registration because it will take longer than usual to this video tutorial. So I already registered their IP addresses. Anyway, that is just easy, and it is already labeled as shown on the drawing. Okay, so all you have to do is just to follow the label, okay, and then have them registered to each network device or devices. We have many ways in configuring the NAT. So the first one is we'll use the static network address translation, and we'll start to configure it on this R1. Okay, so what will happen here, the static NAT. Okay, so this IP address, the 192.168.1.100, this is the private IP address. Then we will convert this, let's say we'll convert this to this IP address. So 200.143.113.50. Okay, so we'll do that. All right, and let's open the R1 and command line interface, and then hit enter to get started. I'll type here enable to go to the privilege mode, then CompT to go to global config mode. Oh, I mistyped the CompT. Let me do it again. CompT, okay? And then first thing that we need to do is we need to tell NAT which one is the inside and which one is the outside. So remember, if it's inside, it should be facing the local area network, so the gigabit 0/1. So let's go to the interface gigabit 0/1, and we'll type here IP NAT inside, okay? All right, and then next, we need to tell the NAT which is the outside interface. So the gigabit 0/0 should be the outside, going to the internet, and it should be facing the WAN, all right, so wide area network, or just internet, okay? So going outside. So exit, I'll go to the interface gigabit 0/0, and I'll type here IP NAT outside, okay? And then I'll type here exit. So let's create the static network address translation. So to do that, just have to type here IP space NAT, and then inside, okay? So the inside, this is the private IP address, okay? And then I'll space and then question mark. So I need to type the source. So source space question mark, and then let's use the static, okay? So let me type here static. Then let me spread this and then question mark again. So we need to use the source IP address. So this is the 192.168.1.100. Okay. So 168.1.100, right, and then space question mark. So we need to input the inside global IP address. So this is the inside global. So we need to make this private IP addresses 192.168.1.100 into 200.143.113.50. Let's do that. I'll put it here 200.143.113.50. There you go. Okay. And I'll press the Control C on the keyboard. I'll type here show run to view the running configuration. Spacebar, okay, and scroll up. Let's see. So the on the gigabit 0/0, we type this command. This is the IP NAT outside, okay, facing the internet or the WAN. And then on the IP NAT inside, it is under the gigabit 0/1, and that is good. Okay, and then we create this IPNet inside source static. This is the static IP address 1.100. It should be converted into 200.143.113.50. Okay, let's test it out. All right, so I'll go to this server, okay, and then let's see desktop and then command prompt, and let me type here ping. So let's try the 200.143.113.50. Okay, let's try if we can ping. All right, still request timeout. Maybe it's try to configure the MAC address resolution protocol, and that is good. I'll try it again, and you see that we can ping. So I actually type here the 200.143.113.50, and it did work instead of typing the 1.100, right? And let me go back here to the R1, and let's view the IP NAT translation. So on the privilege mode, I'll type here show space IP NAT translation. And you see here, let me spread this. Okay, so as you can see here, this is ICMP. So we tried to ping, and then the inside local, this is the IP private address, okay, the 1.100, and this 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 8, these are port random port numbers, okay. So this IP address was converted into 200.143.113.50 inside global, okay, and then we ping this outside local and outside global. As you see here that the IP address are identical because we have not configured yet the NAT on the R2. But as you see here that on the R1 it is actually working, so it is converting the private IP address into a public IP address using the static NAT. Okay. All right, so we are done in configuring the NAT static on the R1. So let's proceed now on the number two. Number two is the overload path. It stands for port address translation. So the meaning of this, okay, so the first one on the static is we convert this IP address into 200.143.113.50. So on this number two, what will happen is we'll convert this IP address into whatever IP address that is registered on this gigabit 0/0, which is facing the internet. Okay, and we'll do that. So we'll go to R1 and I'll hit enter to get started. Enable to go to the privilege mode, and let us delete first the static NAT that we create. Okay, so I'll type here show run to view the running configuration. And as you can see here that the static is enabled, so we have to disable this or delete this. So I'll copy this, okay, and then I'll hit space bar, okay, and then comp T to go to global config mode, and I'll type in here no, and then space. I'll paste the command, all right, to delete it. Okay, so there is a no, and then I'll hit enter, and then Control C. Let me type right to save the configuration, and let me type again show run to view the running configuration. Spacebar, and as you can see here, the static NAT, it is not showing anymore. Okay, so let's do now. Let's proceed with the number two. All right, so as you can see here is we will not configure this again, the not outside and not inside, because it is already configured. So this is the inside and this is the outside. All right, so on this gigabit 0/1, so IP NAT inside, gigabit 0/0, it is IP NAT outside. So we just need to configure the overload. Okay, so under the privilege mode, I'll type here comp T to go to global config mode, and then we need to create a access list. All right, so access dash list, say number one, it's a standard. Okay, then space permit. Okay, and then question mark. Let's say we will permit this time. Let's pretend that we have multiple computers over here, and then we'll just use the network IP address, the 192.168.1.0. Okay, so let's do that. So we'll type here 192.168.1.0, and then space. It should be the inverse format of the subnet mask. It's a 0.0.0.255. Here we go, and access list one is created. Okay, and then let's type here IP NAT inside. Okay, then space question mark, and then source space question mark. So this time we'll use the list. Okay, so I'll type here list and then question mark. So we create a access list which is number one. So let's put number one in here, then space question mark again, and then we'll use this interface. Okay, so specify interface for global address. So we'll do that. So interface, okay, and then space question mark, and we need to put the port. Okay, so let's use the gigabit 0/0. Okay, so that's this IP address will be used then as the for public IP address, the 10.10.10.1. Okay, so let's do that. So I'll put here gigabit 0/0 and then space question mark, and let's type in here overload. So overload an address translation. Okay, let's do that because it's only one IP address though, so we need to put overload. All right, there we go. Then Control C, and then I'll type right to save the configuration, and then show run to view again the running configuration. And as you can see here that the IP NAT inside source list 1 interface gigabit 0/0 overload is active. Okay, and let's do that. Let's see if it's working. Let's try to, let's say, ping. So I'll go again to the server, or let's say to this PC, and I will ping the server. Okay, and ping 172.16.10.5, and we can ping. Okay, there you go. And let's view the IPNet translation in this R1. All right, and spacebar. Okay, I'll type here show IPNet translation. Okay, there you go. Let's see. All right, so as you can see here that this is the inside local, all right, it's the 1.100, and it was converted into just 10.10.10.1, all right, and this is the ICMP. It's the ping, sending an ping to the other network device or end device, okay, and it's good. All right, it did work. And this is the outside local and outside global, and they are still identical because we have not configured a NAT on this R2, but we're about to though. Okay, so it's good, it is working. Now let's proceed to number three, specific path. So port address translation on the port 80. Okay, when we say port 80, this is the World Wide Web. All right, so if we'll try to access from this PC to the server, okay, so I'll open this PC and then I'll go to the web browsers because this is the port 80, and then I will input the private IP address 172.16.10.5 on this web. So 172.16.10.5, and as you see that we can access the web. So Dan server, and welcome to Dan's IT network. It's working on the port 80. Okay, all right, and then I'll close this. So what we'll do in here is we'll convert this private IP address into this 200.143.113.50. We'll use this IP address, okay? And also we'll have it configured on the port 80, of course. So we'll do that. So I'll go to the R2, and then I'll hit enter to get started, enable to go to the privilege mode, and then Comm T to go to the global config mode, and we need to tell the NAT which one is the IP NAT inside and IP NAT outside. So the gigabit 0/1, this is facing the local area network, so this is the inside, and if it's facing the WAN or the internet, it should be the outside. Okay, so let's go to the gigabit 0/1 interface gigabit 0/1. This is the IP NAT inside, okay, and then exit, then interface gigabit 0/0. This will then be the IP NAT outside. There we go, and then exit, and then next, let's type this IP NAT and then source, then the space question mark. Actually, it's not source in here, so IPNet and then question mark. We'll use here inside. I'm sorry. So inside, okay, and then space, and then this is the source. All right. Then space question mark, and then we'll use here the static. Okay, so static. So this is the static, the 172.16.10.5, the server private IP address. So static, then space question mark, and we need to select here or input the TCP so that we can put the port 80. Okay, so TCP, then space question mark, and then we need to put the inside local IP address. So it's 172.16.10.5. 200.10.5. So this is the private IP address. Okay, and then space question mark, and then we need to put what port. All right, so it's port 80. Okay, then space question mark. We need to put the inside global IP address. So we need to convert this 172.16.10.5 into 200.143.113.50. Okay, let's do that. So 200.143.113.50, and then space question mark, and we need to put the what port number. It should be 80. Okay, and then there you go, this is good to go. I'll hit enter, and then control C, and then I'll type right to save the configuration, and then show run to view the running configuration. Let's double check, spacebar, and then scroll up. As you can see here on the gigabit 0/0, the IP NAT outside is configured. Okay, so this is facing the WAN or the internet. Okay, and then on the gigabit 0/1, this is facing the local area network, which is, it should be IP NAT inside. Okay, and then we create this IP NAT inside source static TCP, and the 172.16.10.5. This is the private IP address of the server on the port 80, and then it will be converted into 200.143.113.50 on the port 80. Okay, all right, and let me close this now, and let's try though. Okay, and let me open this computer, and then a web browser. Okay, and then I'll type the IP address, the public one that we create. Let's see if it will work. So 200.143.113.50, sorry, dot 50, and hit enter, and it is working. All right, I will hit it again. So 2, and I'll hit it again for 3, and then let me hit it again for 4 times. There you go. So 4 times. Okay, and I'll close this, and then let's open this R1. Okay, let's see if or let's say the R2. Okay, let's open the R2, and let's type here show IPNAT translation. Okay, there you go. Let's see. All right, so this is the IP address of the web server. So it's inside local, all right, and it's on the port 80, as you can see here. Okay, and you notice that the 172.16.10.5, it was converted to this inside global IP address, which is 200.143.113.50, and it's the port 80 and TCP. All right, it's the mode that we use, and outside local is the 10.10.10.1. This is a random port number. Okay, and same thing, 10.10.10.1. This is on the outside local and outside global. Okay, so if we are on this R2, all right, we cannot view the private IP address on this computer. What we can only view is just the public IP address, okay, on the outside local and outside global, and that is good. All right, it is working, and it is secured. Okay, and let's say, what if we are on the R1, can we view the 172.16.5 dot, I'm sorry, 172.16.10.5? So let me open this R1 here, and command line interface. I'll hit enter to get started, and then enable, and then I'll type here show IPNAT translation. Okay, let's see though. So in here, as you can see here, right, so this is the IP address of the private IP address of the PC, and this is a random port number, so it was converted into 10.10.1. It's good. And if we are on the R1, all right, so this is where we actually type the port 80. Okay, so we did a on the web browser. So what is showing in here is it does not show the private IP address on this portion. Okay, so it only show here the 200.143.113.50 port 80. Okay, so, and it's good, it's working. All right, so let's proceed on the number four. So this time is we'll do the number four, the dynamic NAT pull on the R1 instead of R2, because this is a perfect way for me to show you the NAT history if we'll try to access the port 80 from this PC to the server. Okay, so let me just copy this. Okay, and let me paste it here. So this will be the number three, and let me delete this one, and this is number four. Okay. All right. So let's proceed. Let's open the R1. I'll hit enter to get started, and then enable to go to the privilege mode, and I'll type here show run to view the running configuration, and then spacebar, 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 then scroll up. So what we need to do in here is we need to delete the previous command that we configure actually on this R1 the IPNet inside sourceless one interface gigabit 0/0 overload. So we need to disable this or remove this. Okay, so I'll copy this. Okay, so copy. All right, we need to delete this because we're about to create a dynamic NAT pool. All right, so let's go here. So Comm T to go to global config mode, and I'll type no space, and then I'll paste the command that we copied. All right, and then I'll hit enter, and then Control C. Let me type right to save the configuration, and I'll type again show run to view the running configuration, and let's see if it's still showing. So as you see, the overload NAT is not showing anymore. Okay, but the IPNAT outside on the gigabit 0/0 and the IPNAT inside on the gigabit 0/1 is still showing. Okay, and that is good. All right, so let's close this. Okay, so let's enable this dynamic NAT pull then. So let's configure the dynamic NAT pull on the R1. By the way, on the R1 is the access list one is already configured. If I will open this router again, and you see here that it has a access list one permitting the network 192.168.1.0. Okay, and the only thing that we need to do in here is we need to create a NAT pool. So let's do that. I'll type here compt to go to global config mode, and then IP NAT, and then pool, and I gave it a name. Let's say NAT pool one. Okay, space question mark, and start IP address. All right, so we'll create a multiple public IP addresses then. All right, so we'll start with 200.0.0.1, and let's say up to 200.0.0 up to 10. Okay, and then space question mark. We need to input the net mask. Okay, so net mask in here, and then this is a class A, so we'll just include it on the class A now. So 255.0.0.0. Okay, there you go. And then next, I'll type here IP NAT, and then inside, and then space question mark. Let's type here the source, space question mark, and then we'll use this command list space, and then it's on the access list one, right? So it should be one, and then space question mark. So we actually create a pool, right? So we'll put here pool, and then question mark. We need to input the pool name that we created. Okay, it's NAT pool one. Okay, then space question mark, and we need to put this command overload. Okay, is important, the overload, because let's say if we have a multiple private IP addresses over here, so let's pretend though, okay, so we need to put this overload command. All right, okay, so let's do this. Hit enter, and then Control C, and then let me type right to save the configuration, and show run to view the running configuration. Well, just to double check, and you see in here that this is the command that we input IP NAT pool. Okay, so NAT pool, and then from 200.0.0.1 up to the 0.10. Okay, and subnet mask in here is the class C255.0.0.0, and we apply the IP NAT inside, okay, and the source. This is the source, all right. So the um, 1.0, so network IP address 1.0. So this is included, all right. Okay, so access list. This is the access list. It's a permit. That's why it's list one. And the pool, we create the NAT pool one, so it's overload, and this should be good to go. Okay, so I'll open this PC, and then I'll go to desktop. Let's say go to web browser. Okay, all right, there you go. It's loading. Let's wait for it. All right, and it's still loading. Web browser. All right, there you go. At last. Okay, so let's input this public IP address then. Okay, so 200.143.113.50. Okay, there you go. So it is working. So dance server, right? Welcome to dance ID network. Let me hit the go again, second time, and then I'll hit it again for a third time, and then last for fourth time. Okay, and I'll close this, and let's go then to the R1 and hit spacebar, and then I'll type here show IP translation. Translation. I'm sorry, show IP NAT and then translation. Sorry, there you go. And let me spread this. And as you can see here, that this is the inside local IP address, so the 192.168.1.100. All right, and it was converted into 200.0.0.1. Okay, and this is the outside local. So as you can see here, is we cannot view the private IP address. We can only view the public IP address in here. Okay, so it is secured. And also we'll try to go to the R2. Okay, I'll open the R2 and then command line interface. I'll spread this, and then I'll hit enter to get started, and then enable, and then I'll type here show, okay, IP NAT translation. There you go. Okay, and as you can see here, so we are on the R2, and this is the uh, IP address of the server, the private one, so inside local. All right, so this was actually converted into the 200.143.113.50. Okay, and it's on the port 80. All right, and as you can see here, on the outside local and outside global is we can only view the public IP address on the R1, which is the 200.0.0.1. Right, we cannot actually view the private IP address on this side. All right, because it is hidden. Okay, and that's good. It's working. Well, you can try to play around with the network. All right, you can try the number one, two, three, or four. It's up to you then. Okay. If you like this video, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dance IT Network, to get more updates about Cisco CCNA. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or requesting for a video tutorial, then you can email me on danceitnetwork@gmail.com, or you can put it on the comment section below. Thanks. Bye.